So before I go ahead with my questions and all, I just want to set a context. You know, the whole intent in this panel was to bring all the stakeholder which are of the value chain, coming from a land side of it to the urban development part of it, where the whole last user of the homeowners are going to be there. So that's why if you see the panel has people who are working on the land side of it, the people who are working on the owners as a DMRC authority side of it, the contractor side of it, and consultant side of it, and then the real estate side of it, so that we can understand how the technology landscape of India is across the whole value chain looks like. So not taking too much time, so I'll just first question, because as I said, it's a value chain, and there are a lot of, the first value chain part is the land. My first question to Mr. Pankaj for how's the technology solving land acquisition challenges in infrastructure projects? I think because that's the start point.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind to all of you. Well, I am not a technology expert or a land records expert or anything like that, and I find myself to be the only grey-haired human being amongst such young crowd. So what I will speak is purely on experience basis and not on expertise basis. So where land acquisition comes into play, we have been part of land acquisition in railways projects as well as in irrigation and highways. The technology part of it is much simpler to handle because my company Geono, we primarily deal with LiDAR and photogrammetry solutions. We fly using any platform, manned or unmanned, mobile platforms, terrestrial platforms, any of these platforms we use to collect data, obtain data and create a topographic 3D map of the Earth. Now thereafter, based on the ROWs that are required, we digitize the entire space, we create the land acquisition maps based on what anyone needs. We attribute those maps with the attributes of ownership and area and valuation and utilities on that and things like that. So that part of the game is done by technology, and thereafter it's upon the authorities to do the real kind of acquisition. However, in the acquisition side of it, we also, I think highways follows a very different methodology of filling up millions of forms from some 3A to 3H and things like that, and which are very difficult to handle for technology companies like us. We forayed into it, but I think we learned a lot of lessons in that foraying, and we are looking at how to try to solve it with some amount of technology. So since that was our first foray into that game, and that's about it, some lessons. Otherwise, as far as technology intervention concerned is today, we are limiting it to topographic interventions.
Okay, so now I think we have the data, at least for if even we are doing acquisitions, at least the topographic data is available with the use of technology. Earlier that was also challenged, back then. As I move forward, I think the next question is for the design side of it, where I'll put that question to Kaushik. So Kaushik, my next question to you on how design landscape has been changing with the use of technology over a decade, because the use of technology has, earlier we were very much handmade, hand paper, then AutoCAD, and then what is your sense on the infra side of it, how the technology is helping you to design better infrastructure?
Yeah, hi everyone. Well, with the advent of technology and advent of internet and everything, so what we have moved on from normal spreadsheet-based designs to software-based designs. So more into a BIM landscape where we use Revit, Civil City to enable our designs and have a smooth workflow right from the concept stage, using Revit to conceptualize a design and then carry forward it to analysis. And there is no use of any spreadsheet or intermediary gaps. We just have a smooth transmission from Revit models to our analysis softwares like STAT and then directly to the drawings. And all this goes into a common data environment which are required by the client, and yeah, that has developed so much from there.
Does that, just a follow up for me, I think, do you think the efficiency of the design has improved over the period of time?
Well, it's a learning curve. You initially, when you adopt the technology, obviously there is setbacks, but not so much that will impact the schedule of the project. So it's always a process where we try to phase out the old legacy systems with the new systems. So there is a time lag which we try to manage with increasing the resources, but to stick to the schedule. But obviously there is a time learning curve to it that we have to manage.
Okay, thanks. So as you said, schedule, then the part comes to construction side of it. I think the say comes to to that side of it. Samim. So I would like to understand how you are using technology during the construction part of the metro projects of yours.
Yeah, so thank you. Actually, what we have done is we have incorporated our PIM solution into our DMRC system, and have tried to integrate it, and with the ecosystem that we have transformed, that all the contractors are well equipped with that, and we have been delivering, our drawings and models in PIM. But then the most challenging parts comes to the construction and monitoring and scheduling of it. So what we have done essentially in DMRC is we have tried to make a customized software for ourselves with known as inputs. So that was a PIMS software, Project Integrated Management System. And then what we have done is try to integrate those BIM models into the system so that we can effectively monitor and maintain those systems. Yeah, there are obviously challenges all across the board in technology adaptation, but definitely it is way ahead, look ahead at how to come towards connected construction altogether. That's the essential part of it, how to reduce the time, how to optimize the resources. That is the entire fruitfulness of it.
So do you feel more controlled now? With the technology, or
Definitely. A lot of time that has gone, in designing, the time has reduced. We use a lot of precast now, which has been designed in BIM, and that has essentially, reduced a lot of construction time. And use of PIMS also have helped us a lot to reduce a lot of resources, optimize the resources. So it has definitely helped us.
Thanks, Amit. So I think the next question comes to, because now the infrastructure is kind of getting ready, and now we need the real estate side of it. I think that one thing which has always been top, the private has faster adoption in technology than the government. We can debate on it, but yeah. So I'll just ask Ajitesh his experience in terms of technology, because I know Ajitesh is one of the person who has been very big believer of technology as a core in his whole business. So I just want how ASP's journey and how the technology in his stint so far.
Thank you, Kailash, and good afternoon, everyone. So basically, with respect to using technology in the field, we realized that we had to create an operational digital twin, right? For most of you who are here, I think you are more anonymous with a digital twin being used on the design side, principally. So essentially, to keep it in very plain language, if any one of you bought furniture from IKEA, right, you get the furniture home and you open the manual and you're able to fix the sofa or dining table, right? Our idea was, can we do the same thing with the building, right? Just the complexity increases millionfold, but it's essentially the same process. It's a list of work packages, and where you're doing this. So the context of location, and then there's a sequence, and then interalignment of all these things. So this is what we developed in ASVL, right? We developed a deep neural schema, and we realized that a construction project, be it buildings or infra or any other thing, 90% of the workflows are almost the same, right? The complexity is the number of workflows. Like a typical, housing project, what we do, let's say it has 1,000 apartments, it has close to around like 7,600 to 8,000 work, the sequence structures, neural schemas, right? And so that's what we have deployed. And then using the digital twin and the mobile app, various of our supply chain, various people in our supply chain, like supervisors, contractors, engineers, keep uploading data into it. Like it's a simple binary thing, again 0 and 1. So yeah, and then what we are seeing is the repeatability of this work pile. Let's say I've done concreting work in one of the site, And when I'm using the same package across multiple sites, there's a learning coming to it, right? In terms of complexity, in terms of productivity, in terms of resource management and all, and even in terms of the sequence of things, right? Though building might look pretty simple from the outside, if you get into the detail of things, there are multiple combinations, which is where all this information is typically in the manager or the project manager's mind. So frankly, so that's how we started, and now the objective is this is a lot of discourse on AI agents, right? So what we feel the future is going to be around, like which company, country or ecosystem can create a more high valued AI agent. So we are moving in the direction of creating an AI project manager, where that algorithm can plan your entire, most of our projects are for 1200 day schedules, right? So it can plan the entire 1200 days and real time change the plans also based on the availability of data. And probably, the idea is it will tell us what to do and we will do it. So we are somewhere in the journey.
Awesome. So I think Ajitesh had just given a glimpse of the further discussion is going to happen. But one question, I think, as we are talking about technology, it's solving the problem, but at the same time, it's not such a fairy tale, right? So always a very challenging journey for all of us. So I just want to ask all of you, what is the challenges you have been facing in implementing technology in your respective roles, and how are you solving it? So I think that will, Ajitesh, you can go ahead, or maybe Pankaj. Yeah.
So technology interventions into any physical infrastructure space is always a very, very difficult challenge to handle. The primary reason for that is the bosses who have grown up in a physical infrastructure space without technology intervention, or whatever technology was available in their time, they are used to that particular technology, or whatever methods they have been following. And as the technology keeps growing, while in personal space we do elevate ourselves from DOS environment to Windows environment or some other Apple environment, because the technology forces us to get into it on personal space. But the same dexterity we never show in the official space. That is purely from what I feel. So forcing technology into the system where you have physical infrastructure space coming in has to come from top. While we have very, very young, enthusiastic technology experts within the companies who try to teach you and tell you, sir, we must go this way, it is ultimately the top man who has to do it. If TMRC is doing it, it's great, because I think they have had a series of some great leaders at the top who perhaps listened to them and they did it. Now, I come from a very big infrastructure conglomerate called GMR. GMR has been into physical space, and the digital interventions into GMR started maybe 20 years back. It's only because I give full contribution to that, to our top boss, the chairman himself, who at this age is lively about technology. That's how the middle rung also gets forced into technology. So to my mind, I can tell you that today he is now pressing everyone into learning AI, ML, latest technologies, IoT, how we can do better infrastructure using all these technologies. We are now getting into bills for operations and management. We are getting into bills for construction management. We are getting into digital interventions for so many land banks and other properties held, for warehousing business, for energy sector. We are getting into it. It has come despite the lower end trying to say, let us do it. Ultimately, it has to come from a decision maker. So that's where the decision makers, I for sure feel that they have to change their mindsets. They have to get into a little bit of more nitty-gritty. I don't say please start coding in Python tomorrow. What I say is understand the broad basis of what this guy is going to tell me, and with your experience, you are definitely going to find nice ROIs when technology intervention occurs. You can have your lessons learned of all your projects, AEC whatever projects you have done. If they are at a bank somewhere and some artificial intelligence algorithm or some other algorithm is able to throw up those lessons, these get forgotten. Many people change. These get forgotten. These lessons can be thrown up, and then the technology intervention takes in to tell us how to mitigate these in the next project. So I am sure ROIs are there. What I say is please change your mindsets. It's very crucial.
That's great. I think mindset is very important. So yeah, I think Ajit, what's your?
See, initially when I started, I think the main problem, at least I was thinking, is adaptability, right? In construction industry, you have people with varied skill sets working, right? So I thought it was an adaptability challenge, but thank God that was not the real problem, because mobile adaptation in our country is superb. Like anybody on site, be it a skilled worker, unskilled worker, an engineer, they know how to use the applications as long as it's easy, right? So if the UI UX is good, that's fine. But the greater challenge what we are facing is slow iterative, iteration of the product. So when we make, like imagine a consumer tech company like a Swiggy or a Zomato or these sort of tech applications. They make a base version and they deploy it, and so many people are using it. You get a lot of data and they improve the product, right? Unlike in our product, the users and the data is very less, and there's nothing like past data. Nobody has done that. So we have to make a base model, run it through trials, and then get the the data, and then iterate upon that. So this is the process which I wish can probably come down by 80%. But yeah, this is our challenge. How do we design something very accurate without knowing much about it, and at the faintest trend line of data, how do you change this entire thing? The slow iteration is our biggest challenge.
Awesome. I mean, that's really right, because we are business platforms. I mean, this is a business processes, and business processes are very limited people to answer those. And unfortunately, construction, everybody thinks my project is different than the other project, right? Though the 90% of the workflows are same, right? So yeah, I think I agree. So yes, I mean, your experience.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with what Pankaj sir has mentioned. The mandate should come from the top. That is the most essential thing, that the organization level, the top CEOs or the MDs should understand that yes, this technological transformation is required in our organization. First of all is that. And second is encouragement of the people who are willing to adopt those. Because you see, you have to drive the organization. You cannot just force them through. So what you have to do is you have to pick up people who like to adopt those technologies and then encourage them to use those and show the people, maybe on the mid-management level, that this can be achieved. What you have not been doing for the last 40 years with your physical assets or something, that has been achieved in the last 30 days with the digital transformation. So with any large scale or large organization, I feel that this should be the way ahead. And apart from that, some people, once they appreciate that yes, this technology can be useful, they are willing to do it. So periodic training of those officials are also very required. So what in GameRC essentially we have done is we have trained our own staff, and they have been doing brilliantly in adaptation of the technologies. Let it be they are 50 years old or 25 years old, they have adopted it. That is the thing that we have done.
I think DMRC has been the most early adopter of technology.
Yeah, one of the most. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think everyone has covered so much on that. Anyway, so my take on it, my greatest objection was standardizations. There is so many departments in railways between metro rail projects and all. Everything is fragmented. Everyone has their own standards. So that was the biggest challenge for me. If like our Honorable Prime Minister has introduced the One Nation, One Plan. Similarly, if we have one standard for the whole nation, it will be easing up the adoption of the new technologies that come through.
Okay, that's great. So as we have talked the current technology and the challenges around it, but said that one thing is inevitable is the adoption of technology. It's not going to stop either, whether maybe the resistance might be higher, maybe the time it takes to adopt or to take more time, but I think the technology is here to stay. We all are going to move towards that direction. So, so next question is keep on that in that direction. That what are some of the most promising technologies which you feel are there and you looking forward to and you're really keeping an eye on it? I mean, Pankaj sir, as in each your domain, I think in that sense.
Primarily since I am dealing with a large amount of data, the sizes are humongous in terabytes and terabytes, and now we are graduating over the next 2 years into petabytes of data. The biggest problem for us will be managing that data, and that's where I feel AI and machine learning is going to help us to use that data, manage that data and extract it at the right time, to work on it, to extract the right information out of it. Our kind of data also is highly amenable to machine learning, to training, because the data points are millions and millions. So if I have a very difficult job of giving a number of trees in a particular ROW to DMRC, well, today somewhere you have started with just painting those trees and writing 1, 2, 3, 4 and then telling him, in an elementary manner to say, okay, there are 1582 trees, please cut them off and plant them again. But technology interventions help me to develop algorithms today, which we already have, and in future to perfect these algorithms. Because when I pick a tree from a LiDAR, one tree perhaps gives me nearly 10 to 20,000 data points in terms of X, Y, and Z. So to make out that it's actually a tree or a small tree or a bush or it is something else or it's a electric pylon within a group of trees, that's where technology comes into play. So we are now getting into this space. There are lots of startups who are into this space. In Giono also we are now getting into this space of using these futuristic technologies to extract the right kind of data in the time frame that we desire. If I extract this data over 1 year and then give it, has no meaning. I have to extract it in a time frame. I have to extract this data in different sets of environments. India is the diversity in this country is massive. So to train these algorithms over different types of terrains and species and things like that, and types of infrastructure and types of utilities that we have all over, this is I think the machine learning is best suited for the technology that we use, and we have to adopt it. Otherwise, it's very simple. We'll become irrelevant over the next few years.
Wow. Ajit, over to you.
I think from my perspective, the future would be around, I think it's just begun in the discourse also, like over the last 1 year, around AI agents. So what we call it AI project managers, and probably I think there will be a race all over the world on probably who can create AI SEO. Like maybe in plain language, if those of you who watched Iron Man movie, Jarvis is essentially a AI SEO. So there will be a race to create that, and whichever country, company or ecosystem creates that will have a edge over the that particular domain area across the world. And the problem in this also is not particular, at least for us, is not the problem of technology. We can make it. The problem is making the model the closest possible to reality. Right? When your digital twin is the closest to reality, then the accuracy of the AI would be far superior than of any human, right? And so that's a big challenge. So to make it n variable model. So we only might know 6 variables or 6 parameters in that, but there might be 10 more before you get to 99 or 98% accuracy. So that's our problem, but yeah, hopefully we solve it.
Yeah, I think so. I think two people, AI has been one of the key. I think Samim, what's your take on that?
Yeah, for any projects and any construction thing, the technology is changing. I mean, in every couple of years, every 5 years, right? So what I essentially feel is that the only technology that can move ahead is adaptability of that technology. If the technology is well adapted to future needs, that technology can move ahead. So if AI, what we're trying to build now, right, it has the adaptability to capture all the data that are there now and that are going to come in the near future. Maybe 5 years down the line, the technology is going to change a lot. The technology entire scenario will change a lot. So is the technology is going to adapt those kind of technology easily and incorporate them into their ecosystem, so that technology can survive and move forward. Definitely the base of AI is all data. We all understand that. Right, so with those data amalgamation, what DMRC is essentially trying to do is it is trying to capture the past data that we have, the legacy data, right? And then we are trying to do a predictive analysis and predictive maintenance. So we are in the course of, formalizing the standards for digital twin and trying to leverage out the maximum possible information and technological intervention needed to optimize our operation. Let's see what we can do. Okay, Kasik.
Yeah, it's undeniable that AI is going to be coming ahead and already here. So, in a designer's perspective, I would say currently there are AIs which designs internal interiors and all that. But from a transportation perspective, we can have AI to do corridor modeling for a big distances like Delhi to Hyderabad, for example. It's thousands of kilometers, and AI can help us decide on a route which avoids many cities, that's the heart of the cities, but also give connectivities to that. Coming to a more specific one like bridges, most of the railway bridges are generic and very repetitive. There are very iconic bridges where needs human intervention, but AI can help us with those generic bridges, which will give us a faster outcome and help in get a faster project.
Okay, that's great. So before I ask next question, if anybody from the audience has any question, I think I can take it. Yeah, Manish.
My question is to all of you, as Mr. Pankaj addressed, that we are creating datas which are of now terabyte and later petabyte levels. So we have a huge repository of data which equally becomes vulnerable. So how do we address the possibility of cybercrime? Are we thinking in those? Uh, are there any answers for that? Because
I mean, I can try. Then I think other people also can try. So yes, the data which we are collecting as the data getting generated, so it's becoming more vulnerable for all kind of wrongdoing with that. So slowly, what we are doing with some of our customer internationally as well here is that uh, creating some kind of governance structure first, who actually accountable for that data, and then creating some of the basic hygiene matter. Definitely, there are blockchain, there are a lot of new technologies being put in place to make sure the data is not is being misused. But there's some basic guideline we put in the data centers where the data has to be right. Suppose India is massively generating so much data, and most of the data which is being used or generated by are the companies which are not from India. I think how those data is being kept here. Our data guidelines are covering those pieces of the data has to be hosted in this country. One. Second is what are the other uh, you know advanced technology in terms of blockchain and all, and this has become one of the biggest parameter for people to identify the right technology partner. So I think these are the few initial step has been taken around it. Yeah, but the long way to go, because the lot of massive data is getting generated. I mean, I want other panelists to can add if they want to. Yeah.
So if I may, actually essentially what we can do is, for any organization, we can categorize data into several packets. So you have to understand that certain packets are not so much vulnerable, that can be easily available. Let us suppose we have surveys, we have survey plans and survey data, point cloud data. That generally consists of the huge amount of data that we talk about in petabytes. So that is not that vulnerable. You can have survey and it can be accessed. So we kind of have blocks, that these are the blocks that require the entire core of it, where the security should be the maximum, and then you have other cores where it can go subsequently lower and higher. And with the cyber security technology that is coming up with cloud computing and cloud security, I think it's not very far that we can have blockchain intervention and then protect our data and secure our data throughout. Once we have those data, we are definitely, I think we are technologically will be advanced to protect those data also. Yeah.
But having been a security professional for about 32 years of my life in physical domain as well as in electronic domain, I can only tell you one thing: there's nothing called foolproof security. It cannot happen. So how to be the best? How to be the best is to firstly ensure that whatever physical security measures you have to take on your data, please take them. ASAP, don't leave it loose. कि क्या कर लेगा कोई. there are technologies available, there are security protocols available, there are security technologies available, there are various other technologies available at various layers of setting up this data, of various layers of managing and various layers of storage of this data. Please apply all. Yet, please be sure that somebody is coming in. So, where is the game? The game is early detection. The game is always early detection. The faster you can detect an intrusion at the earliest possible gate, there may be 9 gates. The earliest gate that you can capture intrusion and take countermeasures on that intrusion, you are keeping your data safe. There will be attempts on your data. It will happen, one odd intrusion will go in, and in any security environment, physical oblique, cyber oblique, anything, there are 99 attempts which you will save and nobody will know. But there will be that one attempt which will go through and you are hammered left, right and center after that. It happens. That should not lead us to, demoralization. It will happen. As professionals, we know. Second thing is, in masses, whether it's your companies, your schools, or colleges, wherever we are, we need to get more and more aware as a society on security issues. Even somebody like me, I recently had somebody hacking my LinkedIn, and he picked up my image from there and sent a mail to all my employees and saying that Pankaj needs some money. It will happen, but what is the intervention I have to do is that I have to immediately change all my profile stuff and passwords and everything, whatever, and save it at that. I cannot let it multiply. So despite being a professional in this game who has taken all, I don't click yes everywhere. I do look at the yes and no and do it. Still you can be intruded. You are ultimately in an open space. There is nothing called an air gap. Otherwise, the best thing is lock up your data like we have our EVMs, no connect anywhere in the world, it is safest. It is then only vulnerable to physical or a process oriented intrusion. But in open space, when data is to be made available to all, despite measure there will be things, please set up a good detection system and educate your people. Education is the only thing that will lead to reduction in those attempts.
Anybody has any other question? Yes, sir, you want to add? Any other question? So that I can go to the next question of mine. Okay, so I'll ask the next question because more the AI has been taught, but I think there are a lot of other technologies are also there in the space, right? In the industry, like you talk about modular construction or maybe offsite construction. A lot of technologies are robotic construction. That also happening. What is everybody's take on this table? I mean, I think Samir is the most right answer because he's doing a lot of infrastructure project. What is offsite construction? Because the biggest benefit of that coming from there, and the robotic construction, I saw L&T showing some of that happening here. What is your take on that happening for the future?
See, what we have come across is most of the infrastructure project in India used to take a lot of time. In fact, a road, railways or anything. But down the line, once you see the transformation happening after 2005 onwards, you see that due to the increased technological percolation in the industry, as well as, making it modular construction, those time caps have reduced a lot, with the quality checks that's happening at the offsite. And then placing those blocks or modules through and through all together has led us to the entire transformation that we see in the Indian ecosystem of the infrastructure that we see today. What I believe is that the near future would be connected construction. That is very, very essential. That once you have the design ready, you don't have to, take a month time to supply those to the contractor, going to food, checks. So once you reduce those time, and then you have essentially optimized those construction thing at the beginning, your contractor is, procuring all those, your rebars and planning for those concrete all together right from the beginning. So this kind of connected construction ecosystem would be the next what I feel the next transformation thing that is coming up. And I think many of the big contractors as well as the client are already in process of adopting those technology, but not to the extent that we as technologists believe that need to be adopted.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think so. I suppose on the residential side, what do you think on the robotic construction or on the modular construction side? You think is a near possibility because of the cost versus sales price fight, whatever that? Do you think it's going to happen?
It is, Kailash, because some of the use cases are like, especially when you're doing construction in more like city center areas, right? So because of the noise, what a typical ensuite construction or your aluminium formwork sort of construction does, there are lot of limitations which are coming on the construction timelines and all. So yes, I think in some parts, like maybe I think 20% of the market where the construction is more in city central areas where logistical challenges all this exists, there is a big use case for application of modular construction, or probably we call precast technology, right? I think we at ASBL are probably another 3 years away from it, and we'll start trials from 26 onwards. So yeah, we are.
That's great. I mean, Aditya has climbed already. So as I think again I come back to the AI part of it because we talked about data security and all, but one of the biggest concerns whenever the people talk about AI I have is the quality of data which we are capturing, right? So if the data is already saying all our projects are 94% delay, 90% over budget and all, the same data is getting captured in some or other form, right? So how do you think for all of us sales thing is that data is not going to be biased, right? The data which will just generate the decision making out of it, right, is going to be very biased. Our budgets are going to be over budgeted a lot because our every budget is wrong, and or maybe under budgeted in that matter, or maybe our a timeline which we have already delayed a lot is going to be more delayed because of the data is very biased. So how do you think the quality of data is being captured right as we believe that data is going to be the new thing and AI is the fuel for the AI is the data only. So how do you make sure the quality of the data is kept checked?
See, I think for anybody to have good quality data, the problem is more the model issue, less of the data issue. Right? If your model is right, like your model is more closer to reality, then the data, it's easy to get the right data in. Right? That would be one way. But other ways also, what we can do is, at least what we are doing is, you can use reinforcement learning to deploy multiple scenarios. You can ask the AI to plan for it, and then you can see, okay, and then you get into probabilities, which is more applicable, and how do I make this more applicable? That's one way, because majority of the projects if they are delayed, naturally we can't be using that data directly, right? So we'll have to use a combination of this theoretical hypothesis using reinforcement learning and the real-time data, and I think the big impact would be making your model better. The more accurate your model is, the better the data will be.
Yeah, awesome. So the thing is that what we are trying to do is we are trying to incorporate a parameter tab on that, right? So what you have is that if it is delayed, the reason for it, right? So once you have a data which has a reasoning out of it, that you have this certain reason that this is the reason why the budget has been overshoot or the time has been overshoot, right? So once you have those data captured in the AI, that filter is already there. So once you have a predictive analysis, maybe in the later stage, you know that this might be the reason for the delays, and you can counter this thing with these other parameters that are there laid down. So this type of data filtering at the beginning with setting up exact parameters what you require is very essential, to feed the AI.
But that is happening, or is the process you have set it because it's more of a creating the whole structure.
Exactly. Yeah. So DMRC is in a process to create a digital twin, and we are looking forward towards capturing those data for our predictive analysis as predictive maintenance. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, I think Kaushik.
Yeah. I think this is a learning process. You can treat AI as like a kid, and you are teaching him stuff every day. And there will be processes, there will be certain times when there will be an error, but we have to make the corrective measures, and then like how we mentioned reinforced learning, we have to give good points and bad points for some actions, and then based on that corrective measures it will correct itself on the future cases.
Good. So I think I already taken 8-10 minutes from the panel, and the time which I was we planned. So I think with that, last question for for the audience if they have anything. Otherwise, I'll ask and close the panel. Yeah.
My question is also to the entire panel. Anybody can answer. It is basically that in one of the previous panel, one of the speakers had said that we have data for the work, the infrastructure that was linked during the British time, during the British period, but not later on. And the software developers, if the people who are working with software have a lot of work to do on this part. So is anything being done for that? Because we don't have the previous, there are missing points, and we are also at one point we're talking about AI, machine learning, everything. So there's a huge data gap there. So is anything being done about that or being planned about that to fill the gaps?
For me, I think answer is because I think that data is, as it is said, data is not a problem. The problem is the model which we created. I think the model is of the past of which is there, which we don't have or we not kind of extracted. Maybe the models are suitable today or not. I think that is more important. If they're not, then what do we do with the data? Just to give you perspective, last 3 years, the amount of data which we generated is going to get doubled in next 2 years. Next 5 years what the data we generated in construction industry is going to double in next 2 years. So data is not a problem. We are creating massive amount of data. So rather too worried about, so we are not doing. I think if you ask me as Arth, we're not trying to get that data, whatever is of the past, but we are trying to make sure that whatever data we are generating now is well structured and make it in a right format so that at least this can be used for the future, right? Otherwise, what's going to happen, we are again going to create more data dumps, which we again going to spend more time to sort it and filter it or trying to more structure around it. So we have to be more judicious about our models are right, our workflows are right, the information which we are generating is in the right formats or right places, so we can create intelligence out of it. This is my sense. I think others can add.
I think, I will also side with the supplier same opinion, is that I think I don't know the context of the user and like the presenter, but I think maybe these challenges lie more around land surveys and things like that. But when it comes to project executions, there's no real data problem, right? It's just a model problem. But yeah, what happens is we see the models changing very quickly. That's technological disruption, right? So you might be having a very good model today, but 2 years down the line, it's totally relevant. So I think that's the key focus area. It's model. Data is not the problem. It's the model. But yeah, in some domains like land surveys and all, there might be probably a 2-3 decades gap, between what models were used then and the no models being used or some other thing being used. That could be there. But in most of other domains of fielding area of construction, I don't think that problem persists.
Yeah, I think thank you everyone for their attention, and thank you the panelists for your time, and I hope it was insightful panel for all of you. Hope you got some sense and some insights. Thank you again. So before we leave, I just ask one group photograph. I think then